Wait you're done your scroll, because what I am about to tell you might completely change the way you look at Australia's US money system. The government has quietly passed a powerful new law that shuts down secret loopholes used by criminals and billionaires for years. Here's the shocking part. Australia is fixing the exact problems that the United States still leaves wide open. Hey, before you go, I just want to say something from my heart. This channel is made only for people like you, your people who actually want to understand what is really happening, not just headlines. I'll be uploading a full detailed video on this topic. About how Australia is closing those secret money loopholes and what it means for us. So please, easily subscribe me right now. Think of this channel as your own space to stay informed. And I promise, I'll keep bringing you clear, simple updates that truly matter to you. Your Church said, Australia is finally taking a big step that many people have been asking for over a decade. Closing the loopholes that have allowed billions of dollars in dirty money to move freely through its financial and property systems. For years, criminals, corrupt officials, and overseas billionaires have used Australia as a safe destination to hide their illegal wealth. They bought luxury homes, moved money through shell companies, or used professionals like lawyers and accountants to make their activities look legitimate. But now, the Australian government has decided that enough is enough. The country is introducing new anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing laws that are much tougher and broader than before. These laws aim to catch those who use the Australian system for money laundering or hiding illegal funds. And here's the interesting part. While Australia is moving quickly to close these gaps, the United States still has some of these loopholes open, which means criminals can still find ways to wash their money there. So what's really happening? The Australian Parliament has passed a major update to its old 2006 Anti-Money Laundering and Counter-Terrorism Financing Act. The new version is known as the 2024 Amendment Act, and is being called the most important financial law reform in nearly 20 years. For a long time, people have said that Australia was behind most other developed countries in fighting money laundering. In fact, it was one of only a few advanced economies that didn't require professions like lawyers, accountants, and real estate agents to check where their clients' money came from. Criminals took advantage of this. They could use these services to move money around without being asked too many questions. Imagine someone buying a multi-million-dollar house in Sydney or Melbourne through a lawyer or accountant, using money from drug trafficking or corruption overseas in the past. There was very little to stop that. The new law changes that by bringing these gatekeeper professions under the same tough anti-money laundering rules that banks already follow. From now on, real estate agents, lawyers, accountants, and trust or company service providers will have to identify who their clients really are, verify their sources of money, and report any suspicious transactions to a AUSTRAC, the Australian Transaction Reports and Analysis Centre, the main financial intelligence agency. These groups will be known as tranche 2 entities. And they have to follow detailed compliance steps to make sure they're not helping criminals move illegal money. This reform closes one of the biggest loopholes in Australia's system, which criminals have been using for years to hide dirty cash through property or business purchases. The government says these changes will make it much harder for organized crime networks, drug cartels, and corrupt officials to use Australia as a financial hiding place. Another big part of the reform targets the digital world, especially cryptocurrencies. In the old system, only exchanges that allowed people to trade between crypto and regular money, like Australian dollars, were regulated. That meant criminals could still use crypto to crypto transfers, storage wallets, and other digital tools to move illegal money without much oversight. The new law fixes that. It brings all types of virtual asset services under regulation, including crypto to crypto exchanges, wallet providers, and people who transfer or store digital currencies for clients. This is a huge shift because it closes the gap that many cybercriminals and scammers have used to move money anonymously. Under the new system, these digital currency businesses will have to register with a USTRA, check their customers' your identities, keep transaction records, and report suspicious activity you're just like banks do. The reform also strengthens customer due diligence requirements for all financial institutions. That means banks, casinos, superannuation funds, and now these new Tranche A2 professions have to look more carefully at their clients. They must understand where the client yours money comes from, what kind of transactions are expected, and report anything unusual. This helps prevent people from using fake companies or stolen identities to move illegal funds. Australia is also updating the rules about your tipping off your. This means that if a lawyer or agent reports a client to a USTRAC for suspicious behavior, they are not allowed to tell that client about it. The goal is to prevent criminals from finding out they are being investigated. AUSTRAC itself is getting more power too. It will be able to conduct more audits, demand documents, issue orders, and even fine companies or individuals that follow the rules. This is meant to send a clear message that compliance is not optional. For a long time, some professionals ignored warnings or took minimal steps because there were few consequences. Now, with bigger penalties and stricter enforcement, those days are over. The implementation timeline gives existing financial firms until March 2026 to fully adjust, and the new professions like lawyers and real estate agents until July 2026. That gives them time to set up compliance systems and train staff. But make no mistake, the changes are coming. These reforms are especially important because Australia's property market has long been known as a magnet for dirty money. Investigations over the past decade have shown that criminal groups and corrupt politicians from around the world, especially in Asia, have used Australian property to hide billions. By buying expensive homes in cash, often through shell companies or proxies, they could easily convert illegal money into valuable real estate. Since the previous laws didn't require real estate agents or lawyers to check the source of funds, it was easy for these transactions to go unnoticed. Now, every property deal involving large sums will be under tighter scrutiny. Real estate professionals will have to verify buyers' identities, check for suspicious behavior, and report any red flags. Critics say these reforms were long overdue. Australia has been warned multiple times by the Global Financial Action Task Force, FATF, an international body that sets standards for fighting money laundering, that it needed to fix these gaps. The government had promised to do it for years, but delayed because of pressure from powerful industries like real estate and law. But after years of international criticism and domestic scandals, the government finally decided to act. According to officials, this reform not only protects Australia's reputation, but also helps keep the economy safe from dirty money that distorts housing prices and undermines trust. What is fascinating is that while Australia is now moving decisively, the United States, which often leads in global financial regulation, still has several of these loopholes open. The U.S. has a strong anti-money laundering framework for banks, but it doesn't fully regulate the same gatekeeper professions that Australia is now targeting. For example, American lawyers, accountants, and real estate agents are still not required by law to conduct detailed anti-money laundering checks on clients. This makes it possible for criminals to use them as intermediaries to clean or hide money, just like they used to do in Australia. The Treasury Department has admitted this problem and said it is working on new rules. But so far, progress has been slow. The U.S. did recently pass the Corporate Transparency Act, which requires companies to disclose their real owners. You're known as beneficial ownership. You're to a government database managed by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. This is meant to stop people from hiding behind anonymous shell companies. However, this database is not yet fully public. Enforcement is still developing, and many professionals are still outside its scope. That means a criminal could still create complex company structures or use a lawyer to buy property in cash, and the transaction might not be properly reported. In other words, America has taken steps, but not nearly as far as Australia just did. Another area where the U.S. lags is real estate transparency. The American housing market, especially in cities like Miami, Los Angeles, and New York, has been a favorite for foreign buyers looking to launder money. There have been reports of drug traffickers, oligarchs, and corrupt politicians using shell companies to buy luxury condos. Although the U.S. Treasury has introduced pilot programs called Your Geographic Targeting Orders, that require title companies in certain cities to report the real buyers behind high-value cash transactions. These programs are limited and temporary. They don't cover the entire country, and they are not permanent law. That is a major difference from Australia, which is now embedding these requirements into its national system permanently. It is a bit ironic because for decades, Australia was seen as the one lagging behind. Now, it is the one catching up, even surpassing the United States in some respects. This has led experts to say that Australia is closing the loopholes that the U.S. keeps open. In other words, criminals who used to view Australia as a soft target will soon find it much harder to operate there, while the U.S. still has room for improvement. Some analysts believe this shift could change where global dirty money flows here. When one country tightens its laws, criminals often move to another with weaker rules. If the U.S. doesn't keep up, it could see an increase in illicit money entering its property and corporate markets. Australia's decision to act wasn't just about global reputation, it was also about national security. Money laundering isn't just about hiding cash. It is how organized crime funds drug trafficking, human smuggling, tax evasion, and even terrorism. By letting money flow freely through the system, governments indirectly make it easier for criminal groups to thrive. The new reforms aim to stop that by making every part of the financial chain, from banks to lawyers to crypto exchanges, responsible for knowing who they are dealing with. That transparency is critical to cutting off the financial lifeline of criminal networks. For ordinary Australians, this change might not feel immediate, but it could have long-term benefits. Cleaner money flows mean less distortion in property prices and a more trustworthy financial system. It also strengthens Australia's international standing, making it a safer place for legitimate investment. There will, of course, be challenges. Many small firms in the legal and real estate sectors worry about the cost and complexity of compliance. The government has promised to provide guidance and time for adjustment, but ultimately, these industries will need to adapt. Experts say the costs are worth it, given the billions lost to illicit finance each year. Meanwhile, in the U.S., policymakers are watching closely. The Treasury Department, U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, is reviewing whether to extend anti-money laundering obligations to investment advisors and real estate professionals, similar to Australia, U.S. new model. But until those rules are fully in place, America will remain more vulnerable to hidden money flows. The difference is clear. Australia is moving toward a system where nearly every professional who handles large financial transactions must ask who are you and where did this money come from? The U. still allows too many sectors to avoid that question. Ultimately, this story isn't your tea just about technical laws, your IRS about fairness and trust. Ordinary people are expected to follow the rules, pay taxes, and justify their income. When wealthy criminals or corrupt officials can easily move dirty money into clean economies, it undermines that sense of justice. Australia URS reforms are a step toward restoring it. By closing the loopholes, the government is signaling that the country's URS economy should work for honest citizens, not for those trying to hide stolen wealth. As these changes roll out through 2026, we will likely see big shifts in how financial professionals operate. Lawyers will need compliance teams, real estate agents will have to report suspicious buyers, and crypto businesses will face tighter oversight. It is a cultural change as much as a legal one. You're a move from trust without verification to transparency with accountability. And that is something the United States and many other countries may soon need to follow. So, when people say Australia is closing the money laundering loopholes the U.S. keeps open, IRS, not just a catchy headline, it reflects a real difference in how each country is dealing with dirty money. Australia URS government has finally decided to act decisively, introducing reforms that reach deep into professions and technologies once considered off-limits. It is a recognition that crime has evolved, and the laws must evolve with it. The U.S. still has some of the strongest enforcement agencies in the world, but until it fully regulates its gatekeeper sectors and ensures total transparency in company ownership and real estate transactions, those loopholes will remain. In the end, this is about protecting the integrity of the financial system you're in Australia, in the U.S., and everywhere else. If one country closes its loopholes but another keeps them open, global criminals will simply move their money across borders. That is why experts say these reforms are not just national victories, but part of a global fight against financial crime. Australia's bold move may well pressure other nations, including the U.S., to follow suit. And while these new laws will take time to implement, they mark a historic turning point in how Australia, and perhaps soon the world deals with the hidden world of dirty money. Hey, if you want to keep getting clear, easy updates on stories like this, or about how government decisions affect your money, your safety, and your future, this channel is made just for you. I'll be uploading a full breakdown of how these Australian money laundering reforms will work and what lessons the U.S. could learn from them, so make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Just watch or be part of a community that actually understands what is really happening behind the headlines. Subscribe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.